Good morning, everybody. It is Friday, October 10th, about 5:30 a.m. Central Time as I speak. I have Matt Bennett joining me here this morning. We are going to dive right in with some trade news. So, President Trump said yesterday that he plans to pressure Chinese President Xi Jinping during their meeting later this month to resume U.S. soybean purchases. The Trump administration was expected to announce details of a potential farm aid package this week. However, the government shutdown has caused a delay. According to USDA Secretary Brooke Rollins, once the government reopens, the administration will roll out a significant program to support farmers. Trump warned that if trade talks later this month fail, the U.S. may restrict exports to China or block certain Chinese imports, though he did not specify which products would be targeted. Matt, what are your thoughts on Trump's confidence with getting China to come back to the table and resume U.S. soybean purchases?
Uh, first of all, I think a lot of us in this seat would say talk's cheap until we see something concrete, or until we see actual shipments. It's pretty tough to get super excited about it. But Kenzie, I mean, one thing we can't forget is that the U.S. consumer is a glutton. I mean, we buy more goods than anybody in the world, and that is the reason that China even wants to sit down and talk. I know that it's fashionable to say China doesn't want to do business with the U.S. They're not going to do business with the U.S. China doesn't want to probably do business with us. Let's be clear, but they want our business. So they want to sell us stuff, and they want to try to get this rectified to where the roadblocks aren't there. And so I'm not saying that I have a lot of confidence that we're going to do something here, but I'd be shocked if we're sitting here 2 months from now and we haven't made some sort of headway. I think there will be some headway. I think that it would be probably in the 2 to 5 million tons, way less than a year ago. But I think any sort of sales with some agreement that they're going to purchase maybe a percentage of what they've done over the last 5-6 years. That's what I'm hoping that we see. But again, who knows?
Do you think this trade war could get uglier? Obviously, Trump is making some threats there in terms of imports and exports. Are we at peak level right now?
Oh gosh. Yeah, probably. I don't think it's going to get a whole lot worse. I mean, let's be real about it. Trump's got he's got another year before there's another election. I
Hmm.
mean, he's going to have to make some progress. He's going to
Yeah.
have some headway here. And I know everyone's going to be stirred up because we're talking about the whole Trump thing. But guys, I think that he's going to have to make progress in some fashion. He knows that the situation has definitely been impactful towards the U.S. grower. Obviously, they're going to try to do something to help out there. I've been pretty clear on my thoughts about that previously. I don't love this aid stuff. But at the same time, he's going to have to get something figured out because, like I said, a year from now, you're going to have another election. And if we are still in the quandary that we're in, I don't think they're going to like how that goes.
A bit more about the government shutdown. The ongoing government shutdown has left the grain markets in the dark as the USDA's suspension of key reports has largely erased market transparency. Analysts and traders say the absence of this critical data, which typically guides trading and pricing decisions, is fueling major uncertainty during this harvest season. Large grain traders like Cargill and ADM have access to their own data and inventories, giving them an edge over smaller traders who depend heavily on USDA information. There is concern that once the shutdown ends and USDA reporting resumes, markets could see significant corrections if current estimates are far from accurate. Excuse me. There is obviously some mixed feelings when it comes to the government shutdown and these USDA reports not happening. What is your opinion on the situation?
Yeah, I mean, as far as the October WASD, I mean, I think everyone kind of wants to see it, okay, but at the same time, everybody complains about it once it hits. So it's interesting, but yeah, it would be nice to see what is their updated view because I mean, as I see these kind of play out this year, August, obviously, everyone thought, and I'm saying everyone as far as the grower, the only two things that played into the August report was the survey from the grower and then thermal imaging, like satellite imagery. It's so the grower thought it was a massive crop August 1. Well, we got no rain in so many places. There was very limited rainfall. And so of course you're going to see a little bit lower corn yield there in September. October was going to include a lot of folks who'd already harvested both corn and soybeans. And so it would have been a much more accurate type number. Is it going to affect the market greatly? I don't know. It's tough to say. Is it going to be a flat out cancellation of the report? We're going to wait till November. I mean, I believe that's what's going to happen, is that you're just going to have to wait till November. If they're wildly different in November, I mean, sure, you're going to see this market move around some, but I think it's kind of interesting to be able to fly without the USDA report here in October. I mean, one thing about it, you've got your crop insurance price being set here in October as well, and so a lot of folks have felt in the past that the October report influenced where those October averages went to, and so you don't have it this year.
So does the USDA go back and backfill this information that we're currently missing right now from export sales to the WASD report? How does that work? Or do we just move on like they never happened?
Yeah, I mean, with export sales in the past, let's see, the last time we had a shutdown a couple of years ago, yeah, they went back and you got like 3 or 4 weeks all fairly close together.
Okay.
And so they will, as far as the October WASD, I'm assuming that it will just be a report that never was.
Okay.
I don't know that there will be anything happen there. I mean, clearly that information is gathered as of October 1st. So there should have been a lot of data that had already been gathered. It's just that it didn't go to get released. And so, I mean, I don't know 100%. I
Mhm.
just have a feeling that they just won't release a report for October, but maybe they do go back and try to release something.
Right. On to the drought monitor. Over the past week, much of the Corn Belt experienced temperatures 10 to 20 degrees above normal, intensifying stress in areas already facing dry conditions. Following a week of limited precipitation, drought conditions worsened across Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Minnesota, Michigan, and Missouri, with only portions of Iowa seeing modest improvement. Similarly, temperatures across the high plains remained above average, and minimal rainfall led to slight drought expansion in parts of South Dakota, Nebraska, and Oklahoma. When we look at the percentage of U.S. areas experiencing drought, corn country 31%, soybeans 39%, winter wheat 45%, spring wheat 16%, and cattle country 25%. Matt, what does the drought situation look like in your neck of the woods, and how is it impacting harvest?
So we've got, we've got pretty big cracks in the ground. It's kind of surreal whenever you go harvest and then move everything around a little bit just to see what the dirt. I mean, a half inch to an inch cracks in the ground, dry as a bone. Walking out in a cornfield, the corn leaves a little slick. You got to watch it because you could fall down pretty quickly. But the biggest thing, of course, is combine fires. We've got combine fires in the area. We've been blowing everything off every day. We take a vertical tillage tool to every field just in case we end up with some sort of a situation. Then we can work a perimeter. We've got a plan in place, but I mean, it's scary. I mean, how dry it is. I mean, clearly it impacted yields to a degree. But at the same time, we've still got pretty decent crops considering we went 10 weeks with no rain. So on our driest farms from July 25th till today, we've only had about 7/10. So it's excessively dry.
Yeah, most definitely. The U.S. has officially launched its financial rescue plan for Argentina. On Thursday, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent announced that the U.S. finalized a $20 billion currency swap framework with Argentina and directly purchased Argentine pesos to help stabilize the nation's financial system. Some view this move as risky, given Argentina's long history of defaults and currency devaluations. U.S. farmers have also pushed back on Trump's move, calling it unfair, as one would expect. They note that Argentina's recent surge in soybean sales to China after pausing export taxes would have typically gone to American exporters. Of course, this situation is just adding insult to injury when it comes to U.S. farmers. But on a broader scale, doesn't this financial lifeline seem a bit reckless considering Argentina's past?
Yeah, it does. I
Yeah.
mean, quite frankly, I mean, they've had default. You've seen massive hyperinflation down there. It's problematic to say the least. And I would say that the optics, of us talking to them about this bailout plan, them turning around, dropping their export sales tax, selling 40 cargoes to China. I believe it's around 2.5 million metric tons. So it's not like it's 10 million tons, but I mean, still, again, that was in that November, December timeframe when we thought, hey, we're finally going to get some exports on the books with China.
Mhm.
They're going to have to buy something off of us, quote unquote. They don't have to do anything. But so, yeah, the optics are just terrible. I mean, that's all there is to it. And I would say that a currency swap with Argentina might be one of the last people that I would do it if I was personally investing in another country's currency. I mean, it just doesn't seem wise.
Yeah, definitely seems like a poor decision. Russia is expected to significantly reduce its wheat acreage this year. Farmers plan to cut wheat plantings by about 6% and shift more acres to oilseeds. Poor profitability, high export duties, and consecutive years of drought in southern regions of the country have driven the reduction. With this shift, Russia is expected to plant around 69 million acres of wheat and harvest about 88 million metric tons. Ample global supplies are pressuring wheat futures, pushing prices near 5-year lows. Is this reduction in Russian wheat acres enough to help the wheat market get out of the gutter in any way, shape, or form?
It's a good start. I mean, there's no question that if they're going to drop acreage, I mean, considering you're looking at what's typically your world's largest exporter of wheat. I mean, bottom line, you've got to think that this will be some sort of help for the wheat market. Anytime you get so much wheat or grain of it, I mean, and what do? You end up putting people in a position where they can't make money. And so then you restrict how much is produced and you start the cycle all over again. We've got to hope this wheat market catches some sort of bid in here. This could be something that could be supportive. I don't think it's bullish, so to speak, but it's certainly something that could be supportive because there's no question if the Russian wheat farmer is struggling to make money planting wheat, they're not the only ones. I say this all
Mhm.
the time about, for instance, the U.S. corn farmer. If we're struggling to make money, we're not the only ones in the world that are struggling. Yes, we love to plant corn. I get that. But at the same time, you've got to expect there'll be some people back away from the table, so to speak. And that should be supportive towards prices as you restrict production.
Trade talks between the US and India appear to be making progress, with Prime Minister Modi saying he spoke with President Trump on Thursday about recent advancements in negotiations. Another round of discussions is soon expected. To reach a deal, the US is demanding India halt imports of Russian oil, a request that India has so far rejected. In an effort to advance negotiations, India has offered concessions, including purchasing US corn for ethanol production. India is projected to produce about 2.5 billion gallons of ethanol this year, mainly from sugarcane products, compared with roughly 17 billion gallons here in the US. Obviously, India's ethanol production is way behind what we produce here in the US. However, if this deal is reached and India does begin purchasing US corn, although it would be a small amount, do you think this will have any sort of impact on the market?
It may not have a huge impact initially, but Kinsey, you're talking 1.4 billion people in India. And
Mhm.
so it's a massive, they've got massive potential. Okay. Now, clearly, I mean, I've been to India. Yeah. I mean, there's no doubt that the driving situation is just a little bit different than ours, as far as how much fuel they're going to burn, but you still are looking at what, 3 to 4 times the amount of people we have in the US. They have the ability to be a massive demand driver in the world, and they will be, quite frankly. And so I've got to think that us opening up corn for ethanol over there for them, that's just something that is most likely going to grow and grow and grow. And so, there's no question they have been really hesitant to not buy oil off of Russia. I mean, I don't know if they'll be able to get that fixed or not, but India, for whatever reason, has wanted to do business with them. I hope we get some sort of agreement in place with them. I think any trade agreement we can get will be a step in the right direction.
Most definitely. Finally, cattle futures had an impressive day on Thursday. Live cattle were buck 02 to 207 higher. Feeder cattle futures rose to new all-time highs with gains ranging from 430 up to 552. Matt, what are your general thoughts with this cattle market?
Yeah, the cattle market's incredible. I mean, the resiliency that we've seen is just really impressive to say the least. I mean, there's been several times that people are like, well, it's finally topped out, and then we're just going to go back lower. But one thing that you and I have talked about I can't get super bearish whenever you go to the freaking sale barn and you're seeing 550 for feeders. I had a guy from Minnesota yesterday send me a text or a snap or something, and it was like 450, I believe, 450 weight cattle. And I believe the bid was 5.25, 530, something like that. I mean, and so whenever you're seeing the cash price out there that's that strong, it's pretty hard for me to believe that any of these pullbacks are not going to be supported. And so, yes, fundamentally, for the time being, it's really hard to kill this thing. I just would, again, if you've got exposure, understand that the cattle market at some point, I don't know when it is, it's going to fall. And when it does, it's going to be super, super ugly. I don't think it's today. I don't think it's right away, but it's going to happen.
Yeah, when it does happen, it will be like a trap door. Alrighty, that is all we have for you guys this morning. Matt, have a wonderful weekend. Everyone else, have a great weekend, and we will be back on Monday.